Steve, before we go any further, thank you. Thank you for carving out time,
Happy to do it.
opening up your home, letting us come and take a part of a work day and from your family time too. And so thank you.
Yep.
Really appreciate that. I got a quote that I found about you. But first, before we start off that, what was the best thing that happened to you yesterday?
Yesterday came back from, actually flew in from Las Vegas, did a weekend marathon with one of my daughters.
A real marathon.
Ran 26 miles. And she ran with me, had another one that did a half with us, another one that did a 60-mile bike race at the same time. So we had a family athletic weekend.
Wow.
So it was a blast. So totally brutal to the body, but it was a great family activity. So it was fun.
Awesome. Why did I ask you it that way?
Well, because that's part of our culture.
Yeah.
Part of what we teach.
Yeah. And,
right?
And that's one of the things that, it's almost been 2 years now, I think, since I saw your presentation, or it's been a little while in Fort Worth, but I got to sit through and hear one of your trainings to a bunch of other doctors. And that was one of the things that you brought up that I took note of. That's why I brought that up. But, talk to me. Why is that part of your culture?
It all has to do with keeping the team focused on the right stuff. So we talk about how you open your morning meeting with that conversation. What's the best thing that happened yesterday, right? Because it keeps everybody focused on what's working, not to say you're going to sweep what's not working under the carpet, but you start with what's working that you want to keep doing. And so that's always, our recommendation is you always start with a focus on what's working. And that takes some concentration. For most people, we have no trouble figuring out what's not working. We can come up with that in an instant, but staying focused on what's working and keeping that in the forefront is key. Key for a successful team.
So in the dental world, you've made quite a name for yourself. Most of the patients, you're a behind the scenes guy though. Patients don't really know who you are. And so I took this excerpt. Said over the last 20 years, you've spoken at every major dental meeting in North America, conducted hundreds of seminars all over the English-speaking world, worked with thousands of dental practices, increasing their productivity through patient communication, written over 100 articles for dental industry publication. You've authored 5 books and produced dozens of audio and video learning programs. That's you, huh?
Part of what I've done.
That's part of what you've done. Good answer. That's not who you are, but part of what you've done.
And I would say probably in the context of dentistry, one of the most important things that doesn't talk about is I am first and foremost a patient.
Which is why I wanted to sit down with you on this. You're not a dentist, although a lot of dentists know who you are. Mm-hmm. That's your livelihood. That's where you focus your time, energy, and effort, and your philanthropy. And I mean, you do a lot. You got multiple businesses going on, but you being a patient first. Talk about ToPS for a second. First of all, what does ToPS stand for, and what is it?
So Total Patient Service, the Total Patient Service Institute, is a education and consulting, dental management, practice management consulting company. Our focus is optimizing the practice and the team to create the best patient experience. So we take everything that a dentist and a team knows how to do clinically, and then around that, we build the systems and the process to make sure it works for the patient. So when you think about it, dentistry doesn't happen until after the patient says yes. The patient holds the keys to clinical dentistry.
Right.
You've got to have the clinical expertise, but you don't get to use that until after the patient gives you the thumbs up and says, I'm good to go. Mm-hmm. And most clinical dentistry, there is far more clinical dentistry not practiced than practiced. Anywhere.
That's right.
Because there are, what we find is more recommendations made than are accepted. So more people would get more of what they need if the team were properly trained and had the right systems in place to make it easier for patients to accept treatment that they really need.
So you've set out to help train these clinics and these clinicians, the doctor and his team, on how to better serve the patient so that they can be a better practice and practice more of their clinical skills, which is really what they're good at.
Correct.
Fair way to say that?
We are the door to more clinical dentistry. That's what we do.
And that's really one of the reasons why I asked and so grateful you accepted our request to be on this educational documentary, because you have dealt with more dentists than I have. You've heard more horror stories than I have.
And good stories.
And good stories. Mm-hmm. And that's where I don't want to just focus on the negative. I love what we'll cover in a minute, your lessons you learned from Lenny. I think that was his name.
Lenny, yeah.
Yeah. But in the, with your experience in the dental world, you were able to see things and help make a more educated patient out there. And so, I still, before we kind of cover some of those questions on the patient side of things, tell me if you would, why dentistry? You're not a doctor.
Not a dentist. Had no intention. I didn't even know how to spell dentist when we first started. Dentistry found us. So we were originally a company that was working with all kinds of businesses, working on the customer experience. And we had some dentists that stumbled across our material, applied it, and came back to us and said, this has not only transformed our practice and our patient experience and our practice in general, but it's changed our lives in every aspect. Not only applied it in the practice, but everywhere in their lives. And they came to us and said, more dentists need to hear this. More dentists need to know about this. So they came to us and asked us, you got to get this out more in dentistry. And there was a specific application, a specific reason why that was the case. But yeah, dentistry found us.
How long ago?
Over 30 years ago.
Over 30 years ago. You look younger than I do.
I got started at age 2.
All right.